Welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Dr. Sam McNeill. He's with the University of Kentucky, Biosystems and Ag Engineering. We're thinking about grain, and no matter what the market is at that particular time, we need to try to protect that investment. And you have ways and tools that we're going to talk about today that will really help farmers.
There's other ways to get, to detect potential spoilage, or if spoilage is going on in the bin well before it gets to that level, because if you have an odor, you obviously have some action, some biological action going on in the bin. And historically, we've had temperature cables that would check to see if anytime you have a biological activity going on in the bin, which could result from a buildup of moisture from a leak or around a vent, that kind of thing, or maybe condensation dripping off of a downspout and water dripping down in the bin. If that's not checked, then it can become a problem, and it could become a hot spot, and then it could become a clump of grain, and then the grain doesn't flow out of the bin. So those kind of problems really grow, and they can grow quickly. And temperature cables is one tool that you can check for temperatures. There's another tool it's been around for a while, but it's not been widely adopted on the farm. Is a CO2, a carbon dioxide monitor, like we'd have, in your home maybe, but this is a different application. Purdue University has shown that that's a viable way to check for the condition of the grain, is to check CO2 levels.
Now, Sam, is this technology really expensive? Is that why it maybe hasn't been adopted on the farm?
Well, not so much that. I mean, it's not inexpensive, but at the same time, I think you look at the value of grain even at $4 or less. Unfortunately, we're seeing values below that for corn now. But the technology that they've developed, there's a company called amber.ag. They're based out of Chicago, and you can talk with them on their website, get a system installed that's designed and tailored to match the fan on your bin. You'll insert a probe, a CO2 probe, in the headspace of the bin, and that unit costs around $4,500. So, even a 10,000 bushel bin.
Right, to protect that entire bin of grain.
Right, exactly. And check it well ahead of what you might see with a temperature cable.
And so this is something that will give us an alert earlier on so that we can take action.
Exactly.
Right? And so what levels are we looking at?
Well, it's so ambient levels are low, 300-ish. Then you would want to take a closer look more often, and you can do that with your phone. You don't have to climb in the bin to monitor CO2 levels with this technology. And if it starts climbing around a few thousand, then you want to keep checking it even more often. But if it gets much above 6 or so parts per million, we're talking about, you definitely want to take some action. And first choice would be to run the fan, and again try to cool out and control any biological activity that's going on. Second option might be to turn the grain, move it to another bin, and you break up any clumps or any insect populations that have found a pocket in that grain bin that's causing a problem and generating heat and generating CO2.
Because a lot of times if we do see these issues, things kind of rapidly escalate.
Absolutely. They can especially, and I've been working with a colleague in Lexington has played around with a little bit of that and has seen just adding water to 14% corn, making it 20%, you start seeing CO2 levels rising very rapidly in a closed environment. So the technology works because it's a very fast-acting response to favorable environment. In other words, the mold spores are there. They're just waiting for an opportunity to activate. And a lot of insects are dormant, but if they get the right environment, they'll start becoming active. And adding moisture to the grain is certainly a way to do that and kind of kickstart their action. But then once it gets started, the CO2 is going to be produced. The temperature is going to rise, but actually grain's a pretty good insulator. So if you have a temperature cable in there in the bin, obviously the temperature cables would be an option for empty bins going forward. I think the CO2 technology is probably comparable in price, and it gives you more valuable information.
It's just a little bit more reliable.
Exactly.
Thanks for watching and have a great day.